Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another WM32 Football podcast episode. And today it is myself and Nelson in the hot seats. And because we are coming to the conclusion of the footballing season, myself and Nelson will be going through our awards for the season. They are primarily Premier League based, but I'm pretty sure as we go on, there will be some shout outs for other leagues, such as EFL and across Europe. So Nelson, our first award that we are going for today is our Overrated Player of the Year. Now, who have you gone for? And just give us a little bit of a background as to why you've picked that particular player.
Cool. So I'm happy to get this awards season going. We've reached that point of the season. I always love awards. So my overrated player was to begin with is somebody who joined the league, huge price tag, absolutely killed it in the Bundesliga last year with Bayer Leverkusen, and he was one of my favorite young players. So that person is Kai Havertz, King Kai himself. Kai has come in, and I understand like the same. Like I'm an Arsenal fan. We had to go through the same thing with Pepe. Like everyone overrated him, but I probably would have given him this award last year. But everyone, gave him the hype. Same with Kai. He's come in and he's not been able to adapt with that, especially with the talent. He has abundance of talent, but I just think he obviously hasn't got it going. And I think I've seen some. I don't know. I've seen some wild comparisons out there on Twitter. But Kai has come in. He has not been able to kind of get himself going. Now, give credit to him since Thomas Tuchel has come in. He's picked up his form. Has actually played he's had a string of really good performances. I think I watched the second leg against Madrid, and he was brilliant. He just his movement off the ball, his composure. So we know he has that in him. But I think coming at the start of the season when he came in, there was this all this ratings that people were giving him, say yeah he's gonna kill it, he's gonna do his thing, but it just hasn't been. So that's why I've with Kai Havertz.
Interesting choice, considering obviously a player that is fairly new to the Premier League. But I think in terms of your justification, massive price tag, which unfortunately for him as a player can't be helped. But yeah, I think I do
Yeah.
agree in the sense that there was a lot expected of him, given his time in the Bundesliga, and perhaps he hasn't quite lived up to it just yet. But it perhaps might not be a bad thing because he is still very, very young
Yeah.
as well. So
Yeah.
his ceiling is still very, very high. I've gone for someone, a teammate actually of Kai Havertz, and I've gone with Edouard Mendy, the Chelsea goalkeeper. Now, everybody seems to love Edouard Mendy. For me, I don't ever feel entirely convinced by him. Yes, I know he's come in, and obviously Chelsea went on a bit of an unbeaten run earlier on in the season. But like I say, for me, he's just one of those that I've never really seemed convinced with. I think he looks shaky with the ball at his feet when Chelsea are trying to build attacks from the back. And I mean, he also conceded 5 against West Brom, who were also relegated. So yeah, he's just up there for me. And I just think there's been goalkeepers that have performed better than him in the league, and we will come on to our goalkeeper of the year in a little while. But I think there's been goalkeepers that have been in the league that have performed better than him this year, but haven't necessarily got the credit that they deserve. So I've gone with Edouard Mendy at Chelsea as my pick for Overrated Player
Cool.
of the Year. You happy with that one?
Yeah. I think obviously everyone might have seen a trend in the sense that we've just gone for Chelsea players, but they did have a crazy window, and I think an honourable mention that I wanted to put in there was Timo Werner. Like Timo also had his expectations coming in, bang, bare goals in the Bundesliga. I was a big fan of him, and he's just come. And I think a stat that's come out this season is that he's missed the most big chances throughout all the European leagues. I think it's around 17. I was like, whoa, that's a big number. And we remember Chelsea had a striker like that who came with a price tag in Morata. Morata came and Morata also had his fair share of big missed chances. So, like, I actually don't want that to happen for Timo because I'm a bigger fan of him than I was for Morata. But yeah, I guess the trend I'm pointing out is that the Chelsea players are selected for this. So yeah, I'm happy with Edouard. No complaints there.
All right. Now, next up on our list is underrated player of the season. Now, this was quite a difficult one for both of us, but I'm going to take the lead on this one. I'm going to go with somebody who I actually saw play for Olympiacos in the Champions League last season, and I instantly just got Eden Hazard vibes off of this guy in terms of his low center of gravity, the way he manipulates the ball and everything like that. He then came to Wolves in the January last year, and I think has been a fantastic acquisition for Nuno and his Portuguese revolution, and that is Daniel Pedence, a player, like I say, who just gives me Eden Hazard vibes. And I think I wouldn't say he's ripped up the league, don't get me wrong, but I think he's been really, really good for Wolves and has given them that extra dynamic and dimension when they're attacking. We all know about the pace of Adama Traore and the power that he possesses, but I think Pedence has been quite silky. And I think he's got that versatility where he's able to play across all the three positions sort of off the front as well. So I've gone with Daniel Pedence as my underrated player of the season.
Cool. I like that. I really do. And again, similar to our overrated section, I've also gone for a teammate of Daniel Pedence. Um, and he's someone who has ripped it up. Whilst, Pedence has done it on one side, he's gone and done it on the other side of the field. And that is Mr. Pedro Neto. Again, part of the Portuguese revolution. He is one to watch for the future. Also, that whole Portuguese team, coming up.
Mm.
Just a side note, but Pedro Neto, I've enjoyed him since he's, given I think he's taken on the responsibility of being their number seven, play on the wing that is direct, takes people on, and he's added goals to his game now, goal contributions, goals and assists, and he's had some remarkable goals. I think he scored a wonderful goal against Southampton where he was on the corner of the field, like on the edge by the baseline, and just went past the defender from that tight angle. I don't know how he did it. He
Yes.
just bent it in the far corner. I was like, wow. And I think Wolves came back and actually won that game. So, um, I think he's taken on his responsibility and he's added more goals to his game, more assists, and he actually has an impact. I think you actually notice Wolves in terms of their performance, it kind of the impact that he actually has once he leaves the field. There isn't much incisiveness going forward. You could argue the same for Pedence as well. Like they came to our pitch, they smacked us, and those two caused havoc all night. So it'll be interesting to see with both of them how they move forward as part of this Wolf squad. But my underrated guy is Pedro Neto.
Yeah, no, I am a big fan of Pedro Neto, I have to say. I think he's also stepped up and taken on that responsibility and that void that was left by Wolves selling Diogo Jota to Liverpool. And I think Neto has stepped up and been absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic and has been a joy to watch. Like you say, direct, can go both ways, even though he's a lefty, which is very rare. And yeah, I think he's one of those players that excites. He gets fans off on the edge of their seats, which is what we want. I think as well, perhaps an honourable mention would be Alan San Maximan at
Oh,
Newcastle, because yeah, this guy is just to be in that team as well. Like the Newcastle team, let's be honest, it's not the greatest, but he has literally been one of the shining lights for Newcastle in what has been a very, very poor time for them recently. So yeah, I mean obviously Newcastle are now safe, so it might be that St Maximan stays that little bit longer, but I think had they gone down would have been a lot of suitors, certainly higher up the Premier League, for Alan St Maximan. Right then, Nelson, on to our next award for today.
yeah.
And we are going to go with our surprise package. So player who has surprised us all with the impact that they have made this season. Who have you decided to go for this particular award?
Um, I have decided to go for someone who, at the start of the season, if you told me this guy would have bagged, I don't know how many goals he's bagged. Actually, I haven't checked. I haven't got my transfer market, uh, tab open right now. But I know he has been such an important player for West Ham and why he's one of the reasons why they're up there fighting for let's not forget West Ham are battling for top four. Like I never thought I'd say that, in a sentence ever in my life. But that's the case that we're dealing with right now. That's reality. And I'm gonna give it to Thomas Suchek. Brother is a different he's just been a different baller. And I think one of the things that we can agree on is we know he's not, like I said, maximum type one who can get you on the edge of your seat. You know, can bring fans to stand up and just marvel at their technical ability. Technically wise, we know he's not up there with some of the best in the league, but his contribution, off the ball, stamina, he's there at the right place at the right time. I think that's a good trait that he has, in a sense that he doesn't push up too much, but when he does make his forward runs, it does help, and he sniffs a chance. So I've really enjoyed seeing Suchek this season. I think he scored. I think he scored the most headed goals this season. He's a danger from set pieces. So West Ham do have a tall team in general, but he has, like I said, been there, right place at the right time. So congrats to him, like for what he's done this season personally. If there was a most improved player that the Premier League awarded, I would have given it to him. But yeah, I'm gonna go. My pick is Thomas Suchek. Who have you decided to go for?
I'm the same as you. I have to say I've gone with Thomas Suchek. The impact he's had on the West Ham team this season has been ridiculous. Um, and what I've liked is that in the first part of the season, West Ham almost played with a back three or back five, however you want to look at it, and he was alongside Declan Rice, and you almost assume that seems quite defensive with that makeup. But Suchek was almost like a box to box type of midfield player, and it
Yeah,
really, really complemented Declan Rice really, really well in that midfield. Um, and like you mentioned, there is his contribution in terms of goals has just been unbelievable. And like you say, the timing of his runs to get in the box, I think, has been fantastic. As you said, a threat from set pieces. And I think Jose summed it up in the fact that Moyes has found his new Marouane Fellaini. I'm here and I'm gonna wait for the day that David Moyes puts Thomas Souček up front for a run of games, because
yeah,
that will
yeah,
literally be like Fellaini 2.0. And obviously we all know that the impact that Moyes had on Fellaini as a player, um, as well, and you can see the same thing happening with Souček. And I just think he's been absolutely brilliant. He's been really, really refreshing as well. I think as a person, like his personality has come through in the team. From what I've seen and what I've been told, it looks like he's loving life in London. He's loving life playing at West Ham and everything else. And yeah, potential sort of bargain signing almost for anybody, throughout the leagues, I think. So yeah, Thomas Souček was my surprise package in terms of players. Now, so moving on then to our next award, and that is our disappointing team of the season. So this award is going to a team who probably at the start of the season, most people expected a lot to come from them. And effectively, they've let us down. So I've gone with a team, and this might shock a lot of people because it's only their third season actually back in the Premier League. But I've gone with Wolves. And the reason why Wolves, I think, have disappointed a lot this season, obviously, I know they've had a lot to deal with injury-wise, especially to Raul Jimenez. And I think that's really, really knocked them sideways, like completely. But I think, you look at Wolves over the last two seasons, the way that they've played, the way they've built the team, consecutive Europa League campaigns, last season even getting to the quarterfinals over there or thereabouts in the Europa League. And this season, it's just almost. I think they were close to actually getting into the Europa League for this season, and just missed out. I think it was the fact that your boys Arsenal won the FA Cup is the reason why Wolves aren't in the Europa League. But I just think they've really, really disappointed this season in terms of how they've played. Like I look at Wolves and I think they're a little bit more gettable. Like teams can get at them a little bit more. They don't seem as defensively solid as they have been over the last few years, and they've lacked a little bit of punch almost going forwards at times. I think they've relied heavily on Jimenez. I guess some teams do rely on their star players and their main men, but it's like, well, when he's been gone, they haven't really had anything else. So there's been a massive over reliance on two players that we've spoken about already in Pedence and Neto. I think Fabio Silva, I could see why they bought him, but it's like he's been thrown in at the deep end and hasn't quite worked out yet, but he is still very young, very, very young, still a teenager. And he will come good. Those that play Football Manager know that this guy will come good. This guy will come good. So yeah, I just think Wolves have disappointed me a little bit and whatnot. So yeah, I've gone with Wolves for that fact really. Who did you go for in terms of disappointing team or a team that's let you down this season?
Any fans from this club, I do not care what you think because I still believe that this team disappointed me throughout the Premier League season. And that is soon to not be champions, former Premier League champions in Liverpool. Now, I say to this day, as an Arsenal fan, that when if Arsene Wenger were to ever leave the club, which he has done, the one person I wanted to come in was Jurgen Klopp. I loved Jurgen Klopp's energy. Like, obviously, I think one of the interviews that is iconic that I remember was saying that when Borussia Dortmund at the time he was manager, when they had a Champions League group stage game against Arsenal, obviously they compared their styles, the way they play. Like, Arsene Wenger's more like an orchestra, this the way his side plays, and then Jurgen Klopp is more like a rock. He loves his rock music and the Gegenpresses. So the point I'm trying to make is Liverpool have disappointed me because with the relentlessness in the last 3 seasons that Jurgen Klopp has put into those players, that eventually got them. So in the last 3 seasons, what happened? They finished second only by 1 point. You have the fact that they won the Champions League, and then the next season just go mad on everybody and win, obviously, the league last season. So I'm really disappointed in them because I was expecting them to come back with a fight. Because City done it when Guardiola, led them to a century of points. And then the next season they came back and defended their title. But that's when Liverpool lost it by just a point. So I was expecting Liverpool from last season, okay, like, we won, cool. Let's try and go this back to back. Let's kick on from here. It's 30 years they've had to wait for this one trophy. And the fans were ecstatic. You even have, Stevie G, who's a former player, didn't get to win it, but he was still ecstatic. That's the fans. I can definitely say that they're one of the most passionate fans in the game, Liverpool fans. But I was very disappointed because they didn't go at City. City have come and just brushed this year, similar to their Centurion season. And I was expecting Liverpool to put up a fight. It's like, okay, no, it's ours. You want to take it from us? We're going to give you a fight for it. I never got that. Especially the fact that they brought Thiago. When they brought Thiago, I thought it was game over for everyone else. Game over. Game, set, and match. I thought Liverpool were going to brush the league again. Now, we do know that this season they have suffered horrendously from the amount of injuries they've picked up. And we have all seen that, I think the biggest one we know is Virgil. Big man Virg. Since he's gone, teams have been able to get at Liverpool. They've not been afraid to go and attack them, with their game plan. And it's resulted in, I think, in Liverpool conceding more goals than they have in the last 2 seasons combined. I think I mentioned it to you when we were doing a coach's insight about Jurgen Klopp and the fact that the amount of goals they conceded is much more than the last 2 seasons. And I was so shocked by that. So it shows the impact that Virgil has had since he's come to the club. So my team, I don't care, Liverpool fans, if you're angry at me at this, I'm a stick with Liverpool. So that's my team, guys. I've come to Liverpool.
Very, very interesting. Can't wait for the Liverpool fans to spam the comment section
Yeah.
regarding that. So yeah, uh, I think Liverpool have been disappointing at times. I think you mentioned Thiago. I don't think he was actually used right. Um, I think he's been deployed in a role where it doesn't suit the team as opposed to not suiting him, because he's played that role similarly for Bayern. But the thing
Yeah.
was, there was legs around him in order to allow that to happen. I don't think he's had the legs around him at Liverpool. So he needs to be playing either in a 2 and then Liverpool play with a number 10, or they need a little bit more legs around him um, in order to get the best out of him, or just play him slightly higher up the pitch, which I think they have done or started to do anyway. But no, interesting choice of team, Nelson. Like I say, cannot wait for the Liverpool fans to spam the comment section
Ready.
regarding that. Now, moving on then to our next award. Now, our next award is the assist of the season. So, Nelson, who did you go for in terms of assist of the season?
Well, I had an argument between two brothers that, one is an assist king. He won it last year, Kevin De Bruyne. And another one is someone who many people look at his game and they just associate it with goals. But one thing I've noticed in the last few seasons is his passing range and how ridiculous his passing range is for a striker of that ability. So I'm gonna give my assist of the season to Kane, Harry Kane versus Southampton. I can't remember how the goal went. I think you can describe it better, but the amount of assists that he's had this season, he's on pace to have a potential like 2020 season that Thierry Henry had back in 2002 and 3. And if he does that, absolutely remarkable. You know, I think Harry himself can give credit to, I don't know what Jose's done at the time when he was there, but he's just unleashed him to a point where he's now, do you know what? I'm just going to have the ball, I'm assist everyone, boom, like forget, running through Ndombele or whatever. Like, as long as I get the final credit of assist, man, you know. But that goal against Southampton, I think that game you guys won, was it 5-1 or was it
5-2, 5-2.
5-2?
Tottenham won that one.
Yeah, and Son scored an abundance of goals. I think Kane just assisted him for every goal. I've never seen that before, but I'll let you describe, the play, because I'll let you use your descriptive words to describe this goal if you feel like you want to go full for that. But yeah, my pick is Kane versus Southampton.
Yeah, so the assist that I've gone for and the choice that I've gone for is the same as Nelson. So I've gone with Kane's one against Southampton for one of Son's four. I think he scored that day. So it's very, very early on in the season. Sun is shining, literally. And a ball has been played over the top, roughly around the halfway line. Southampton were sort of on the attack. And yeah, like I say, ball had been clipped over the top, just past the halfway line as Tottenham looked to counter on Southampton. And Kane has chased it down and he's got the ball, and it looks like the ball's going out of play. And the defender, the opponent who is up against Kane, is in a fairly decent position, you'd say, to try and shepherd him out of play. Kane's not really going anywhere, but somehow, some way, Kane has just unleashed an unbelievable pass that has gone right the way round and found Heung-min Son, who then chest controlled it. And I actually thought that particular touch wasn't exactly the best touch either from Son. And then he slotted it away with his left foot. But I just think the audacity of that particular pass was ridiculous. And I don't think I've seen too many passes like that from a midfielder. Probably De Bruyne is probably the only person that I've seen that's able to do that. So the fact that Kane's able to do it as a centre forward is just fantastic. We all saw in the documentary the chat that he had with Mourinho, and Mourinho said, by being with me, I can help you explode. So that was as a Tottenham fan, that was one of the plus points I think of Mourinho at Tottenham, as he turned Harry Kane into this absolute machine of a player that was able to sort of play as a number 9 and play as a number 10 in the same role. So it's almost like Kane was a 9.5, really. And yeah, his game has just gone on to that other level as well. But it'd be interesting to see what happens next with the England captain. Obviously, future is up in the air. Still got a couple of years left though on his Tottenham contract, of course. So that's assist of the season. Now, this particular award coming up next has caused some serious headaches, especially in the last week or so. So we're going to go with our goal of the season. Now, I have gone with arguably the most audacious goal that the Premier League has seen, certainly in the last decade. I can only think of perhaps another goal that rivals this in audaciousness, and that was Thierry Henry against Charlton. So my pick is, I've gone with Eric Lamella's Rabona goal against Arsenal, but the goal that I mentioned was Henry's goal against Charlton, where Henry's got his back to goal and the defender's really, really tight, and Henry just back heels it through the defender's legs to then score. And I looked at that goal at the time and I was just like, wow. And I even still see it on Premier League years and I'm like, wow. But Eric Lamella's goal against Arsenal, regardless of the result, the goal's just ridiculous. Like, to do that in a North London derby, it's just a shame that there was no fans in the ground to witness it.
Yeah.
I think certainly every Spurs fan that I've spoken to, all just completely lost it. They were just like, oh, I can't believe that's just happened. And so, yeah, I've gone with that one. There was a few contenders in there. I look at Yves Bissouma goal against Everton earlier on in the season. That is a joke of a finish, because that one's bounced. He's chested it up and fully on the volley, just, sort of dipped one into the bottom corner. And then I looked at, Maddison's goal against City earlier on in the season where they won 5-2, and from that particular range to get it and literally put it right in the top bins. Like, you couldn't get any more top bins than that. I thought it was decent. Bamford's goal against Villa, where he's surrounded by 3 players and just almost pokes it into the top corner. I think that's an underrated finish because of, the way that he's able to manipulate the ball in such a tight area, get a shot away, and then get it in the top corner as well. I think is definitely worth a mention. But in terms of goals as well, in terms of amount of goals, big shout out to Johnson Clark-Harris of Peterborough, Ivan Toney of Brentford, who broke the record for most goals in Championship season with 31. Charlie Wyke at Sunderland, again, I think he hit around the 30 goal mark, and the first player for Sunderland to do that since Super Kevin Phillips. And Paul Mullin of Cambridge United as well. I think he's got 27, 28 goals for the season, and even got a stand named after him at Abbey Road. But yeah, my goal of the season, Eric Lamela against Arsenal. Nelson, who did you go for in terms of goal of the season?
This is just, I'll tell you this. This has come to mind just now. However, I am going to, I'll explain it more in terms of honorable mention after, but I also agree with you in the sense that I don't think anything can top Eric Lamella's goal. Like, I just remember my reaction was the same as Sergio Reguilon. I think everyone saw the image of Sergio with his hands in his head as if, what the? And it was just mind blowing. The magnitude of that game, because I think the fact that it had, I think any other game we'd still appreciate the quality of that goal, because he has. Don't forget, this is not Lamella's first try of trying to execute a Rabona. He did it in the Europa League. Wes will definitely go on about that goal too. Like, that one, you could argue the way he's been able to generate power to put that into the corner with the amount of height and power he's been able to generate for that. Like, I think credit to Lamela. But yeah, when he scored that goal against Arsenal, if you watch the replay, really analyze the replay, the fact that it went through Thomas Partey's legs on the way to that far corner, I was like, nah, this brother actually took the mick. I was so annoyed because from then on, I actually thought we would lose. I was like, there's no way we're going to lose to a goal like this. But obviously, like you said, the result doesn't matter. But obviously, on that day, I was very, very, very excited that we won. But nah, give credit. Like, I've never seen, I think that's, for me, number one goal, North London Derby. Like I've not seen a better goal than that. But yeah, I'm going to give it to Eric Lamela. Now I did mention that I did have an honourable mention, and as you was mentioning, the list, you were shortlisting, the amount of goals like Basuma and Bamford. One player came to mind, and this is a player that when he dribbles with elegance and grace, in my opinion, and that's Eze. Eze scored a wonderful goal against Sheffield United, I think, where he not recently, but I think the first time they played them at Selhurst Park, the way he was just gliding through all them bodies just to slot it into that far corner. Like again, like I said, with grace. He didn't shoot with power or anything. He just passed it, caressed it into that bottom corner. So Eze is one to look out for. He's probably going to score more dribbling solo goals in the future, but that's I think the best one that we've seen this season in terms of that kind of magnitude. It wasn't like a 30-yarder, like you said, like Basuma, bang it in, top bins or Bamford, but taking on the amount of plays he did to then score was amazing. So that's one of my honourable mentions. But no, my goal of the season is Eric Lamela.
Not a bad one at all. I'm happy to get that one in as well. So we are now going to move on to our more positional awards. So we're going to start with our goalkeeper of the year. Now, this again has been a really, really tricky award for both of us. But Nelson, just tell us who you've gone for and just explain why you've gone for them.
Oof, this one hurts me to say because this brother, yeah, my goalkeeper of the season. I'm going to give it to Emiliano Martinez. Now, Martinez has gone on to move to Aston Villa, and he's bet on himself. He knows how good he is, and he wanted to prove himself at Arsenal. But the reason why this hurts me, the reason why this hurts me a lot, is because Arteta had the choice between keeping him or keeping Leno. Only for 10 months later to sell Martinez to Aston Villa and Leno reportedly wanting to leave. So like we haven't won in the. I just don't. I had a debate with my brothers. We went back and forth regarding who Arteta should keep at that point where Arteta had to come up with a decision. One of my brothers said Martinez. I didn't agree with him because of the fact that Leno, before Martinez came in, did save Arsenal a lot of points. But when actually deep in it now, I see why Martinez. I think Carragher put him in his team of the year as well. Not yesterday, in his team of the season.
Yep.
He's brought a calming presence to that Villa backline. I think Heaton was Villa's keeper before that, and yeah, he just brought a really calming presence to that back line. I think he's second in clean sheet in the league. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like I said, he just brought a really calming presence, and he's come up with some big top saves. Now, everyone can. I think he's had a few mistakes. I think that's prone in many keepers, but the impact that he's had, like I don't think Villa would have jumped up to where they are now if they didn't sign Martinez. So he's been one of the key reasons why they are top half of the table. They've obviously we've mentioned about recruitment, how they've recruited really well over this summer transfer window. But no, Martinez has come in, calming presence, loud, vocal, distribution wise, brilliant, and is a great shot stopper in my opinion. I think his first game in his debut, he immediately saved the penalty. I was like, okay, he's happy here. He that game time that he has to be able to show everybody, he can do it at the best level. So the good thing about keepers is that you see that similar to defenders, they can go on for long. They have a longer career than other positions. So I wouldn't bet against Martinez on the back of this season to get another move to a better club because he believes in himself that much. Like he left Arsenal to do well at Villa, so who knows? But he's my pick for goalkeeper. So that's my pick. Who have you decided to go for, Wes?
I've decided to go for another ex-Arsenal goalkeeper. Yeah, it was
Wow.
a toss-up between Martinez actually and this particular goalkeeper. But I allowed you to have Martinez because I'm nice like that. So I've gone with Lucas Fabianski of West Ham. I think not only this season but actually since he's joined West Ham, he has been unbelievable. Like he's arguably kept West Ham at times in the division with the saves that he's made, and even at times this season, we know the season that West Ham are having, and surprising everybody, the world and his wife and his dog and everything else. But I think when they haven't been playing so well in games, and when they have been under pressure, he's made crucial saves, which have then, kept West Ham either in the lead by a goal or just kept them in the game, and then they've gone on to build from that. I think it's a massive shame for West Ham that he is 35, because I think they would love him to kind of stay on and be their goalkeeper and try and build a team with him in goal. But obviously that doesn't look like it's going to happen because of his age. So West Ham have got a real task on their hands, whether that be in the summer or in January of next season, to try and replace him, because he's been a real steady goalkeeper for them. Obviously, better than me, his time at Arsenal full of mistakes. Fabianski at one point, all of that. But then since he's left Arsenal, obviously he did really, really well at Swansea. And obviously they went down, gone to West Ham, and he's just been brilliant. And I think once again this season his performances have been up there. And that's why he gets my vote for goalkeeper of the year.
Brilliant. I can't agree with that. The fact that it's two ex-Arsenal keepers makes me even more mad. But it's cool. It's part of life. We
So,
move.
so a tip for any goalkeeper out there: leave Arsenal and you'll become a better goalkeeper. All right. So
Uh,
from moving on from our goalkeepers then to our defender of the year, Nelson, I've gone with Ruben Diaz of Manchester City.
can't complain,
Yeah. Have you gone with Ruben as well?
bro. I can't complain. I've gone. Yes. Yeah. You might as well cover the whole thing. I'll just sit back and yeah.
This hurts because he was very close to joining Tottenham, under two managers as well, by the way, not just one, two managers, yeah, that wanted this
Wow.
guy, and I think everybody can see why this season he's just been colossal. Even his performances in the Champions League, like he's just been a brick wall. Like he just blocks everything. Like he's almost that player that you want on your computer, because any viruses that would come in, he'd block it straight away. Like he's just been that good. But I think not only that, but the way that he's just made that City defense almost his own and has just improved other players around him. John Stones all of a sudden looks a lot more comfortable at the back. And I think the City fullbacks now can push up the pitch 5-10 yards when in possession, because they know they've got that security of Ruben Diaz there. He's made pretty much the same impact at City as Van Dijk did at Liverpool
Yeah.
when he joined. And I just, like I say, it pains me because he was very, very close to signing for Tottenham under two managers that really, really wanted him. But I think it was wages that meant that he didn't join. And everybody at City now and everybody in the league gets to see his quality. And yeah, I don't think anybody can really discredit the fact that he's been the best defender in the league this season. I know Liverpool fans will go, yeah, but if Virgil was fit, it would probably be him. But the thing is, Virgil hasn't been fit for most of the season, so that's why we're giving it to Ruben Diaz, really. So yeah, like I say, he's been top drawer, honestly. And even watching him in the cup final, I was just like, how is this? Like, how could you be that good? And it takes a lot actually to discredit a player of the quality of Aymeric Laporte. Because
Yeah,
for me, Laporte is up there with one of the top defenders in the league. But he's not even getting a look in. And I think that says a lot. Obviously, a lot of people were thinking the dream partnership would be Diaz and Laporte. And
no,
no, I think credit to Stones as well, for obviously stepping up. But yeah, our defender of the year, if you like, is Ruben Diaz.
perfect. I cannot add anything on top. I just want to point out that I'd love to have a bromance like John Stones and Ruben Diaz in my life. Like that bromance, there's something there. Like I watched the semi-final against PSG, the second leg, and the way these two were just celebrating every last ditch tackle and everything, I was like, yeah, these like he's created that vibe. I've never really, especially with City side that's known for their football, they're not really
Mm,
known for the grittiness in defence. I think obviously the biggest defender they've had since Diaz, or you could say Laporte, is Company.
yeah,
Company brought that to the club, especially hit the way that they kind of go about in terms of their culture. He's been one of the key factors with that. But Ruben Diaz, I think they were looking to replace Vincent for a long time. They had that in the report, but now, like you said, for him to discredit America, I was like, yeah, this is crazy. This is they're set for years, and don't forget they have Nathan Ake as part of that squad. The depth in that squad is crazy. So, good luck to everyone else. But yeah, I can't complain. Ruben Diaz. Can't complain. Can't complain.
all right. So moving on then from defender of the year to midfielder of the year. So Nels, who have you gone for? And just let us know why you've gone for this particular player.
So I've gone for someone who, after his first season, I thought, okay, this is a fluke. I did that with Harry Kane. Harry Kane proved me wrong, and he's gone ahead and done the same thing this midfield and proved me wrong. So people will call him, Penandes, for the amount of penalties that he scored. But I'm gonna go for Bruno. Bruno Fernandes is my midfielder. There were some close shaves, but I went for Bruno because the way he's been carrying this United squad since he's joined the club has been nothing short of ridiculous. I've never seen anybody like since Papi Cisse when he joined from Freiburg have this impact, especially I think because Bruno joined in January. So that impact that he had with Project Restart was crazy. And I remember Papi Cisse coming in and having that sort of impact, just banging goals left, right, and centre. But Bruno's been able to carry that throughout the season. And I saw his goal contributions in all competition. 27 goals and 17 assists. No, that's not right. That's not right. Oh man, that is absolutely mad. For a midfielder, where's oh my gosh. But yeah, he's carried this side. I'm surprised that he's not captain already. Just give him the armband because Harry Maguire, I'm sorry, you're not. For me personally, you just shouldn't be the captain of that squad. So you can see the players. He impacts the players. I think he's done something too that I haven't seen in a long time with United players. Like I thought Paul Pogba would have that impact, but since he's come in, players have stepped up around him. He's brought that quality, so I give him that respect, that leadership. I saw a recent interview, I think, between the lines with Marcus Rashford and Rio Ferdinand and Wayne Rooney. And one of the things they were chatting about was, Rashford making runs. And Rashford said there's no other person not another person, but he's one of the few, Bruno Fernandes, where he'd make a run. Like Bruno probably wouldn't see him, but Rashford would be on his bike because he knows Bruno has the quality to play me that ball on a plate, put it on a platter, boom. So, yeah, my guy, Bruno Fernandes. Everyone's going to say, you're an Arsenal fan. Why are you picking this, brother? But no, I watch football first. He's a baller. My guy's Bruno Fernandes. So I'll let you go with your pick.
That's another player that was on the verge of signing for Tottenham, and a deal was virtually done. And
Uh,
Tottenham did end up signing a Fernandes. It just happened to be Jedson Fernandes and not Bruno, and we all know how that worked out for Jedson. So yeah, that's another one that slightly hurts, but no, completely agree with your contribution for Bruno. However, I am going to go with somebody who has completely changed, I think, his game this season, and has added goals to his game. And that was something that nobody really saw in him, because in his time playing in Germany and firstly when he came over, he was playing a lot deeper. So my midfielder of the year is İlkay Gundogan. And I think his contribution to this City
No,
team,
no.
I think his contribution to this City team is definitely up there with the likes of Diaz this season, just purely this season. Um, like I say, goals from midfield. And it was at a time actually where City were creating bucket loads of chances like you would not believe. Like they even done it in the cup final. How Tottenham went in 0-0 at half time in the cup final is, that should be investigated on Line of Duty. Do you know what I mean? It's that deep. So yeah, but I think, he just popped up with goals at crucial times where others that you were expecting to score weren't scoring. And I think he just carried City and dragged them over the line in certain games this season. And like I say, completely changed and adapted his role within this City team. We know a lot of the season that they've played without a striker, but his runs from deep, I don't think we've seen before from Gundogan. So I've gone with him over Bruno, over De Bruyne, because I think his performances and the way, like I say, the way he's adapted and changed his game, and bearing in mind he's 30 years of age as well. So to get somebody to change and adapt their game at that age is quite risky as a coach, because they're either, as a player, they've got a lot of experience beforehand. So now you're asking me to sort of change and adapt my game when I've only got a couple of years left, really, like maybe 5 years left, if that. I think, says a lot about him as a person, as well, that he is willing to do that. So yeah, I've gone with Gundo instead of Bruno.
Like that, like that. Yeah, I can't complain. Good picks. But yeah, no, yeah, I'm happy with that.
All right, now last one in our positions, and that is centre forward or striker. There can only be one winner, surely. Now, surely.
Unfortunately, not unfortunately, there's only one winner. So, yeah, we can tell the people who we believe is the best striker.
So we've both gone for England captain Harry Kane. Um, I think we mentioned it earlier in terms of the way he's adapted his game. He's
Yeah.
he's just been unbelievable. He's literally been the shining light of what has been a disappointing season for Tottenham. But the thing is that it appears on the face of it that Tottenham are in a crisis, but Tottenham are actually still in the hunt for European football. I think that's a testament almost to how far the club have come in the last 10, 15 years, because if we were in a crisis and we're still fighting for Europe, then, I know personally, me growing up, that would have been, nonsense. We'd be praised almost for getting European football because we were nowhere near that long ago. But like I say, he has definitely been the shining light in what has been a largely disappointing season. The guy just continues to set standards at the football club, and yeah, it's like I mentioned, his future is up for discussion. I'm not hopeful. Well, I don't really want to go into too much detail on that because we could be here all day. But I think the way I think he always had that ability of dropping in and playing deeper and playing as a 10. But I think because Tottenham in previous years had Christian Eriksen,
hmm
he was seen as that creative force in the team. So if Kane did that, it sort of went a little bit unnoticed. Now Eriksen's gone and Tottenham haven't replaced Christian Eriksen, Kane's just become himself and a creative spark in one. And I think when watching Tottenham at times, you almost want Harry Kane on the end of Harry Kane's passes. That's if you could have a
That's a
dream,
good, yeah,
if
yeah,
you could have a
yeah.
dream scenario, it would be Kane in on Kane's passes. So I think actually the clinical nature of Son this season has helped Kane out in terms of those assists that we mentioned earlier. But no, I think, still top goal scorer in the hunt for the Golden Boot. Top assist or top of the assist charts, and yeah, definite striker of the year, forward of the year, whatever you want to call it. I don't think anybody could argue that Harry Kane has been the best forward in the league so far this
Yeah,
season.
can't argue. There's nothing more to say about this brother. This brother's just, like I said, I mentioned earlier that he's one of the people that's proven me wrong over the course of his career. Like, I'll never forget when he burst on. I don't like using this phrase burst onto the scene, but his first year under Poch, I think it was 2014-15,
Mm-hmm.
and it was no. I noticed the first time I noticed him was the game you beat Chelsea 5-3.
Mm-hmm.
That game, I was like, who is this guy? Like, he showed a lot that day. Hold up play, his range of finishing. It wasn't just your simple tap-ins. He scored a beauty like from outside the box that went bottom bins.
Mm-hmm.
That game, I'll never forget that game. That game, I think because Chelsea had Mourinho at the time, and a lot was going on at the club. But no, he really showed himself that day, and he went on to bag a lot that season. And I thought, okay, could he do it again? I didn't believe it. He's proved everyone wrong, and now we're talking about him potentially breaking Alan Shearer's record. Like, that's how far the brothers come. Huge respect. As much as I hate to see him in a Tottenham shirt, knowing that he's an Arsenal fan, I am happy, when I see, England at the Euros or the World Cup, that he's leading the team out there. Like, I can't complain with that. Like, I would rather. I think he finished top scorer at the World Cup as well in 2018. So he's got it in him. Best striker if in the league for, I can't lie, the last 3-4 years. I'm not gonna, as much as I love Aubameyang, I can't really put him up above Harry Kane. So I'm one of those Arsenal fans that is a bit, sane and doesn't, say the outrageous. But no, Harry Kane, best striker. Cool.
And I think as well, what's been telling is when it comes to stats, because we're living in a stats-driven world now as fans. It's always only Harry Kane has more, and I think that says a lot. Whether that's, you mentioned Bruno in terms of his contributions, only Harry Kane has more than Bruno this season. So yeah, I think that's always the telling one. Is that when it's mentioned that only Harry Kane has more in terms of goals or assists or anything like that. But yeah, I think he's definitely up there in terms of the best striker that I've ever seen in a Spurs shirt. I think the way that he continues to adapt and change his game is something that, as a Spurs fan, I never thought I would see. So he 100% makes any Tottenham team that I would come up with, probably alongside Jermaine Defoe. I'd have to say. But yeah, Harry Kane, Captain Kane, for England. He's gonna hopefully bring it home in the summer for the Euros as well. Fingers crossed for that. Now, so that's our player awards, or positional awards. Sorry, done. We've now got 3 left. So we're going to go with our young player of the year. Again, Nelson, can only be one winner here, surely.
I swear. Can I go first this time?
Of course you can. Of course you can.
So yeah, just similar to the striker position, we've agreed that our best young player goes to Philip Foden. That's probably not his name, but I just love saying Philip because this brother, yeah. Oh my goodness. Just to point out there, at one stage, because we were going back and forth between Bukayo Saka as well. Bukayo Saka was an honourable mention, and at one point I think we even decided that we should give it to him. But I did say just to watch out for Phil because he still got it in him. But oh my gosh, this last month, probably last 2 months, the way he's been balling has been crazy. I think I think he's since that Liverpool game, he's just thought, you know what, I know I'm the best. Let me just go and kill everyone. So I remember you gave him an appreciation for us as well for that game against Liverpool. And he's just been absolutely amazing. Like you pointed out to me when you see him play, because you were lucky enough to go see him live
Yeah.
in the flesh. And you just told me that when you look at this brother play, he does not look English the way he plays at all. He plays as if he's been born in the streets of Rio de Janeiro and has just come up with these silky skills. Oh, he glides, elegant, grace, like the way he dribbles, his ball manipulation, like you've pointed out on numerous occasions, his composure on the ball for a guy his age. And it's credit. I really want to give credit to Guardiola because I think at the time where he started bursting onto the scene, and we both lived in Manchester, so we heard all the news, about a young Phil Foden from Stockport growing up and being the next big thing. We were like, okay, we want to see him play. And Guardiola has really eased him beautifully into, the first team setup. I think a lot of people were probably calling for him to be pushed out on loan, gain some experience, but it's never happened. Guardiola has just eased him in. He's been able to study the game from the likes of, I think one of the best players to ever grace the Premier League in David Silva. David Silva, you can see, you know, you can see David Silva in him, and it's so beautiful to watch. But he has his own uniqueness about him. I think what David Silva didn't have that Phil Foden has is this boy's strike for goal. Yeah, oh my gosh, he can hit a ball like he can fizz one in. So, bro, I think I could go on for days, but. He just, as a football fan, is just so happy to see that, and it makes you so excited, like you say, with Harry leading the line for England, what he could do for the country as well in the Euros or the World Cup. So, best young player, bar none, is young Philip Foden. Like, yeah, I'll let you add on to what I've been saying right now. Just shower him with praise. Like, it's been mad seeing him this season.
Yeah, it really has. And that Liverpool game was a massive turning point, I think, for him in his career. And that's probably people are going, well, he's only 20, give him a chance. But I think with the way he played that day, there was a lot of question marks, I think, surrounding him and can he do it in the big games? And he tore Liverpool apart. And then I think from that point on, Guardiola's trust in him has just gone through the roof. I think Pep always knew the ability was there
Yeah,
and the talent was there, but it's right. Can I actually trust you to deliver when I need you to deliver? And like I say, in that Liverpool game, he was unbelievable, and hence why I put the appreciation post out of that of that particular game. He probably is what a lot of people think Jack Wilshere was,
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
terms of how he plays the game. Um, so yeah, I just think he's just on another level compared to anybody else. I think, you mentioned in the last month or so, obviously City have had a lot of big games and he's tended to play in those big games, but have a telling contribution in those games. Obviously goal against Dortmund in the Champions League. Even went on a little bit of a run in the semi-final against PSG, which got a lot of people excited as well. And I just think, I've said it before, he the way he plays is just not like a typical English midfielder. The way he manipulates the ball is just not what we would associate usually with British midfield players. The way he's been schooled and everything else has just been fantastic. I watched him for England's under-21s
Yeah.
against Austria at Stadium MK, and he was best player on the pitch. Best player on the pitch, bar none. The things he was just doing, the positions he was taking up, you could just tell he'd been schooled differently compared to everybody else on that pitch. And there was some top talents in that under-21s team that night. Your Hudson Odois and Nketiah and young players like that. But he was the standout because of just the way he moves. He glides across the pitch, glides past players, and in the cup final as well. Recently, he was unbelievable. Like, he was unbelievable playing as a false nine. He was just popping up in these little pockets, and Tottenham didn't know how to defend against him, really. Young player of the year has to be Phil Foden, but like you said, an honourable mention for Bukayo Saka, because I think when we actually decided that we would do this as a topic, I said it had to be Saka. So Saka did run Foden close, but I just think, yeah, Foden's just been a joke. And I do think he's going to be up there in terms of one of the best in the world.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
In the next few years, 100%, 100%. Right, so that's our young player of the year decided, locked down. Phil Foden, the Stockport Iniesta. Nelson, Gaffer of the year. Talk to me. Who have you gone for?
So I've gone for someone who I didn't consider until probably after March, just because I didn't want to believe it. Honestly, I didn't want to believe it, but I had to face reality and just understand that this gaffer has been really good. He's been amazing in terms of managing his team and getting them into a place that we've already discussed in this episode. In his team in a surprise position, battling for Europe, and where I'm going to give it to David Moyes. I'm going to give it to him. The way he's led this team, I think he's recruited well as well. He's recruited well, in the players that he's brought in. We mentioned Suchek. They've also brought a really, I wouldn't say talismanic player, but really flair kind of player, and Saeed Benrahma. Like he's also there, so they've got a wonderful. He knows how to manage his players. I think he knows when you give him the trust, which I think the West Ham board has given him. It's allowed him to be able to, show everybody, okay, give me the ropes, I've got the strings, boom, this is where everyone's playing, and then you can tell the players play for him. That's one thing. You can tell that the players when they're out there, 100%, he's rejuvenated somebody in Jesse Lingard, who's had a torrid season, but we also know that he's been dealing with a lot of personal stuff. And credit to Jesse himself for picking himself up and recovering and rejuvenating himself. But Moyes definitely is a factor, I believe, to Jesse's revival in the Premier League. So he's just done magnificent. Defense has been great, and he's been able to. Yeah, I can't give him no extra credit, but um, we all know the magnificent job he's done at Everton to keep them steady. I think for 10+ years, and you could see this actually happening again at West Ham. I just think you can actually see this happening again at West Ham. Him staying for a long period of time and actually building a squad that could potentially challenge for Europe because Everton were once there. They were once, challenging for European spots. So I'm sure West Ham fans. I think if you asked them at the beginning of the season if they were going to be fifth, they would have just been. Yeah, I don't think they would have. They would have just laughed at you. I think, but I think they're all taking this beautifully, and yeah, I think you've had to deal with a lot from West Ham fans in
Yeah.
regards to the game against you guys, but just in general the fact that they're above us, our teams right now. You could argue they're one of the best teams in London, along with Chelsea. So um, I'm gonna yeah. It's painful to hear right now, but
Painful.
my gaffer of the year goes to David Moyes. Yeah.
I agree. Same with you. I've gone with Moise. Um, Listen, the job he's done second time round at West Ham is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Took them over again, by the way, after the West Ham board disregarded him after the job he did the first time round, which was to get them safe. So he did that. Then they got rid of him, brought in Pellegrini, spent an absolute fortune, and it just did not work out at all. Um, and it was that SOS call of David, come and save us again. He's done that and then some. Um, as you've mentioned, he's basically taken West Ham from a relegation fight into European contention. And yes, I get a lot of stick from West Ham fans. I know quite a few of them, or I know some of them, should I say? And yeah, I'm getting a lot of stick because they're above Tottenham in the league for the first time in God knows how long, by the way. But I'm getting the whole mind the gap nonsense, and it's all coming through this season. Doesn't help when your team throw away a 3-goal lead and then they score a 90th minute equaliser.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't help when your two centre halves decide to be the Chuckle Brothers when you play against West Ham, which makes it life even worse. But yeah, I think what's been allowed to happen this time around is they've let Moyes be more in charge of footballing matters. They've let him bring in players that he wants. They've let him coach, because Moyes as a manager, and he's very hands on. Like, he likes to control everything. Like, he's out there on the training pitch doing sessions as opposed to leaving it to his assistants. And you can see that's why West Ham are so well drilled, really. This season, I think it's definitely the impact that Moyes has had on the team and on those set of players, because under Pellegrini, it was like a case of just rock up, do what you want, and go home. But Moyes has seemed to put a bit of structure in place there. I don't think he's overcomplicated things too much either, which I think has helped a lot of those players. So yeah, I think it has to be David Moyes for the job that he's done at West Ham this season. Like you said, if we'd have said at the start of the season West Ham in European contention, I think people would have thought we were on something. And the fact that they haven't faltered really either, they've still stayed there, they've grinded out results throughout the season, as well, is a big testament to him, his coaching staff, and those sets of players, because actually he hasn't really changed a lot. Maybe a few players, if that, and is getting a massive tune out of them compared to what Pellegrini was. And is playing away in a style that suits them a lot better, as well. So yeah, Gaffer of the Year, David Moyes. So Nelson, we are on to our final award, and that is our best player. Who have you gone for? I know who I've got, but yeah, do you want me to take the lead with this one, or do you want to go first?
Actually, yeah, I'll let you go first with this one, and then I'll finish it off. Yeah.
Okay, so best player, for me, I think has to be Ruben Diaz. For me, and we mentioned earlier the impact that he's had on this City team, and the squad, I think, as a whole, to replace Vincent Kompany, who was such a stalwart of that team and of the club. But he's come in, and it's almost like, I wouldn't say Kompany's been forgotten. I wouldn't say that, but it's almost like people don't mention the fact of Vincent Kompany anymore, perhaps as much as they did last season. And actually, I think the fact of Ruben Diaz is only 23 as well, I think is frightening, because he looks a player that is way beyond his years. He looks like, a 27, 28-year-old centre half. So yeah, I think Ruben Diaz has certainly been the player of the year, the best player in the league. I think his consistency as well, across the season, has been unbelievable. And it's like he came in, hit the ground running straight away, which, with new signings, there is always that fear that it would just take him a little bit of time to settle in. But that has certainly not been the case with Ruben Diaz. He's come in, hit the ground running straight away, and I think everybody is, seeing his quality, in City is certainly reaping the rewards of that. So I've gone with Ruben Diaz as my player of the year.
Cool. Yeah, I've gone for somebody. Yeah, my player of the season is Harry Kane. Captain, fantastic. I've gone for Harry Kane. Yeah, people were saying, "What are you doing?" Like, because you're an Arsenal fan, but I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, you've got to appreciate football for what it is. And Harry Kane, like we've mentioned before, has been a monster. And I think just taking it up a notch, especially with the assists that he's been able to produce this season, you can't not dismiss that. Like it's brilliant to watch, and it's obviously, like you say, it's handy. Like I mentioned, for Tottenham, but also handy for England themselves, like to have that creative option in Harry Kane. I think one thing you pointed out really well was that ever since like someone like an Ericsson has gone, like an actual pure number 10, I think one thing you mentioned really well is that he's just been himself. Now, not saying that when Ericsson was there, him bagging 25 goals is not him being himself, but he's been able to express himself a lot more now, as this 9.5, as you pointed out. So, again, it's just frightening because he's still so young. I think he's 26. I might be wrong. I think he's 26. He should be no more than 27. But all I'm pointing out is
Mm.
that he's still young and he has years to go to actually beat Shearer's record. And I can see that happening. Um, and in a less amount of games as well compared to Shearer. I think he's played a less amount of games as well. So he's going to go on to break Shearer's record. And I think the most goals for one club. Because I think Aguero is close to being Rooney's record, but I think Kane will smash that too. So, yeah, Harry, absolutely fantastic. There's nothing more to add on to what we just added, but my pick is him, Harry Kane.
Very, very interesting choice. I have to say, with you being an Arsenal man and
Yeah,
picking somebody from the other side of North London. So, guys, just as a quick reminder, I will be putting a graphic up so you can see who mine and Nelson's choices were for the WM32 Football Awards for the season. As always, put in the comment section what you think in terms of any of the players that myself and Nelson have mentioned, and if there's any that we've maybe missed out or ones that you think were a little bit wild, and why we've put that in there, or why we've put those players in there, should I say. But guys, that wraps it up for the WM32 Football Awards. We hope you enjoyed it. I know myself and Nelson certainly did, in terms of going through what we thought. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have smashed the 100 subscriber mark as well, so we're very, very thankful to everybody that has subscribed to us so far. Don't forget though, turn the notification bell on so you know every time that we post. And myself and Nelson are, as usual, repping the WM32 Football merchandise, which you can get from the WM32 Football shop on the website www.wm32football.com/shop. There is also a kit offer running at the moment. So should you decide to spend over £50 in the shop, you get a free rucksack as well. And don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at WM32Football. Nelson, absolute pleasure. Take care and see you all very, very soon.
thank you. Bye bye.